Gary, here I am jumping in here somewhat against my better judgment, but trying to be respectful back to the fact that you're asking questions that, or at least raising issues that can be addressed. Okay, they're not the they're not the usual one about if the rich people didn't, create more debts with all the money that they have and abscond with all the assets that we have in the world, what would they do with their money? Which is a lunatic type of question, Gary. A lunatic type of question. They have the money power. They have the power to create the money. And what are they going to do with it? They're going to go out and find some asset to attach it to. Imagine having the power to create money and go out and attach an asset. Imagine that, Gary. That's the world that we live in. And after going through a whole lot of stuff, you got back to to Nick's point about take for instance Ireland, a modern country, actually one of the models of the new economies, of the world, and the fact that they are so broken down because of their financial improprieties, that now they're going to be losing their pensions and their health care benefits and all that. In order to respect the ownership of that paper that commands the future welfare, when I say welfare, using the term broadly, okay, well-being, of the citizens of Ireland. And how, just to say to you, that's no different from what we, the modern economies, do through the World Bank and the IMF, lending money, creating debt out of nothing, just like those bankers did that got Ireland's, okay, lending it out in third world countries in which there's no way that they can repay it, and us then not only taking over the economies of those countries, but through debt restructuring agreements, forcing them to give up their health care, their education system, their public infrastructure improvements, their clean water, privatize them. Gary, that's the name of the game. Okay, that is the game that you and I, kick around here. That you can't see my point on it. And I can't see your point on it. Because why? Because partly because when my dad told me about it, he explained all that stuff that you're talking about to me as he saw it as a kid in 1929. And he said, Joey, every day we were going to work and we had a job and we had food on the table, and one day we didn't. Because why? Because there wasn't enough money to make the debt service payments on the stuff already out there. And honoring their ownership of that stuff, okay, and the debt payment streams that were obliged there meant there was no money for jobs. There was no money for food. There was no money for anything, okay? That the economy commanded people stand in line to get their food. The economy demanded that people grovel around on the sidewalks, begging, okay? And that's the kind of system that we have now. And you decry that kind of system without having the ability to have a clue that it's the money creation power that enables and empowers all of that stuff. And you think that I'm peepee-dicking around over here on the side, having something to do with something that's irrelevant, okay? And I'm not saying that what you're doing is irrelevant, okay? But what I'm saying is it's a total secondary level, okay? It's a total secondary level of importance. You want to take away the fishes from those guys? I want to teach the other guys how to fish, okay? To me, it's far more important. It's far more important to prevent any of that stuff from happening in the first place. Okay, Gary? Honoring the ownership. That's what it's all about. That's what, you've heard me talk maybe about, the resettlement of accounts. Why is it that, we didn't continue with mark-to-market accounting? Because if we would have continued with mark-to-market accounting, there would have been all that debt stuff that they created. And you and I have a total disagreement about what's money and what's not money. Let me just tell you that, Gary. Okay, for some reason you think that if the government creates money, it's money. The banks create loans through fractional reserve banking. It's not money, but it's sort of money. And that when the shadow bankers, okay, create money out of nothing, with absolutely nothing, and create United States dollar denominated payment streams of obligations, okay, that those things that are out there are exactly the same as what's strangling Ireland and what we use to strangle the third world countries, of the world, okay? So all that stuff is exactly the same, Gary, okay? It's all exactly the same, excuse me. It's all money. It all shows up with a dollar in front of it on some. Isn't that how the computer works? If there's a dollar in front of it, it means money. It's a financial unit. Okay. The terminology and all that stuff gets way in the way. Okay. But the fact of the matter is that that's how we do it. Okay. Now, you said that my comment about overconsumption. We can't overconsume. Nick at least had to ask the question. And by the way, you ought to think about that as a strategy and a tactic. Instead of attacking people and denying things and saying to prove it, you should ask a question. How do you prove that? How do you know that? What do you mean by that? You'd be surprised, Gary. You might get somewhere. But anyway, and then you went on to say something about what we're doing is unethical. We can't possibly consume too much, but although our consumption is unethical, hey, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, that's what makes it unsustainable, because it's unethical and immoral. Okay, because we grew our economy. That huge bubble, that huge run up, that huge creation of all that debt stuff. Not by producing at all. All we did was continue to consume and issue debts, okay, and take things that other people produced. So that's unsustainable. That's overconsumption. We used first of all their cheap labor to give us goods, and second of all, when we buy those goods, we use that money. We use that same money that we've created and used to pay for that. Okay, we use that money over again. Okay, we borrow it back from them. Okay, now that is the definition of a national economy's overconsumption. Sorry, Gary, that's what I mean. Okay, yeah, if we were looking at our economy within, having a standard of living and having as much consumption as we could produce, and when I say produce, I mean using our resources. However you want to use that term, using our resources. Yeah, then we don't overconsume, but we're nowhere near there, okay? We have a standard of living that is unsustainable. We have to give some of it back. And anybody who denies that, we have to give some of it back, okay, to the world, so that the world can keep going on. Anybody who denies that, to me, they're deniers, they're just deniers. But I don't even understand, why do you even get onto that? And the funny part is when you talk about the immorality, unsustainability, unethical, attribute of our consumption, you say that's not on the table. That's on the table. That's why I'm here at the table, because we need to do something about that. At some point, hopefully, you and I will, come to some kind of an understanding that will enable us to move forward. I know that we're not there, and I'm not sure why I jumped back in, but I keep thinking, maybe hoping, against the fact of our misunderstanding will someday be in the past, and I don't know how to get there, but I hope that it does happen.